Hi guys, give me a few seconds. I'm going to do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started. Alright, let's go. What's up everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the Marketing Nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. I am the author of 0 to 4 Figures and Self-Loved. I'm also a digital entrepreneur and a business owner. Few of the roles that I do take on: I'm a YouTuber, podcaster, Etsy shop owner, Skillshare teacher, and a marketing strategy consultant as well. All of the links are in the description box below if you'd like to check it out. Welcome to episode 192 of the Ask TMN series, where we're going to be getting into where to start with your personal branding. Now, if you're new here and you're wondering, well, what's this Ask TMN thing that you just spoke about? So Ask TMN is a series that I created where I answer some of the most commonly asked questions that solopreneurs may have about marketing, business, as well as mindset. Now, if those 3 topics interest you, definitely do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a podeo, and I do upload a couple of these every single week. Alrighty guys, without further ado, let's get into where to start with your personal branding. Now, before I get into the 5 main questions that I do have for you, I actually think it would be helpful for you if you got a pen and a paper. Now, as I'm going through the questions, now there are 5 major questions that I have for you, but even in those 5 major questions, there are a few smaller questions that go along with that. So what would be helpful for you is, of course, to grab a pen and a paper, pause the video every time you hear a question that I'm asking. Try to think about your answer to that particular question and outline what you feel is best for you. All right, so that is actually how I personally started with my personal branding. Of course, it wasn't so structured when I started out. I think, of course, because of my degree in marketing, and we had like classes on personal branding, so on and so forth, and of course, just in my general interest of personal branding, I did have a good starting point, but some of the questions that you will be hearing were questions that I added on later. And so this basically summarizes, this entire audio actually summarizes how I guess I would say started and continued on my personal branding. All right? So grabbing a pen and a paper would be really helpful for you, just because it's mostly about how you are going to do it. Personal branding is very, very personal, right? And so it has to be unique to you. It has to be something that is aligned to you. And while I can give you tips and advice, it really, I think, is about how you can answer those questions to the best of your abilities at the stage you are at. All right, so let's get into the 5 major questions that I do have for you. So now let's get into the first question that I do have for you, and that is, what are your values? And more importantly, how can you integrate your personal values into your business? And so it can be, your personal values, it can be the mission that you have, your personal mission, it could be the beliefs that you have. What I would say is try to frame 1 or 2 sentences maximum, like not more than that, about one thing that really aligns with you as a person. It's really important for you to figure out what aligns with you, because this is something that you have to stay true to long term, right? And so the easiest way to go about that, the easiest way to stay true to something long term, is actually if you find something that aligns most with you at the point of time. Of course, you are going to evolve. There are going to be new things that you experience, maybe changes in your thought process. But at this moment of time, the easiest way for you to stay true is to actually find personal values that resonate with you and how you can integrate that into your business. All right. So the reason why I say not more than 2 lines is because the more you try to fit into that phrase or that sentence or that paragraph, it's going to be harder for you to keep up with. That's it. It's just as simple as that. So 1 line or maybe maximum 2 lines about what are your personal values and how are you going to integrate that into your business. How does it mesh with the values that your business holds as well? So not more than 2 sentences on this. All right, so take some time and try to think about why you started the business. What is that one personal value that you have that you're going to keep up with for yourself as well as your business long term? All right, so that is number one for you. Number two is what sets you apart in your industry. Now, the reason why it is so important for you to understand what sets you apart is because this is what you will be focusing on. This is what will attract your potential clients towards you. And it's important to understand what differentiates you, what sets you apart, because what makes you different most likely is what is going to be what attracts people to you. All right, because if you were the same as everybody else, then why would they choose you? Or they would probably choose you along with other people, or wouldn't be so much of a dramatic difference in them saying, that person, I want to work with that person. And you want that, right? You want someone to want you. That was a little bit complicated. I hope it made sense, but if it doesn't, we're just gonna like roll past it, okay? But I think that's what it is. You know, you want your potential clients to look at you and say, that's the person I want to work with. Just them and nobody else. And so for that, you've really got to figure out what sets you apart. And it can be anything. Maybe your belief systems, maybe your personality, maybe the way that you speak, the way that you go about your activities, the way that you go about your life, the way that you show up for your business, the way that you offer your products and services, so on and so forth. Basically, take some time, sit down and write. What do you think sets you apart from the rest, or from whatever is out there at the moment? Not necessarily good, better, or worse, bad. No, it's just what makes you different. Okay? What is it that's different about what you bring to the table, whether it's yourself, your business, your products, and your services? All right? And I guess a follow-up question for that would be, how do you magnify that? All right? How do you put focus on what makes you different? And another follow-up question to that would be, well, whatever it is that sets you apart, how can you communicate that to your target audience, whether it is in the way that you show up, in the way that you structure your products and services, in the way that you operate your business, in the way that you interact with your customers, in your brand messaging, so on and so forth. How are you going to showcase what sets you apart? How are you going to magnify that? And more importantly, how are you going to communicate that to your target audience? All right. And over here, I've written, it could also be your key skills, your expertise, your strengths as well. All right. So that is number two for you. The third question is, how do you want people to feel when they interact with your brand? Now, especially when it comes to branding, how people feel is actually very, very important. It is a very integral part of branding. And so I believe this to be one of the most important questions, because this actually gives you a starting point to get to you creating a personal brand that resonates with you and is also strong. All right. So understanding how you want people to feel when they're looking at your brand is a good first step towards that. So one thing is, maybe you want them to feel excited when they see you or your business or your products or services, or you want them to feel like they can trust you, or you want them to feel energized, you want them to believe in themselves. What is that feeling? What is that thought process that you want to trigger in your potential customers when they look at you, your business, your products or services? All right. And so understand that your business is actually an extension of you, right? Whatever it is, personal branding, it's first you, and then of course, your business comes in, but you are the face of that business. And so how do you want people to feel when they look at you? And so when you understand that, it becomes a little bit easier for you to chalk out, all right, so if I want people to feel this way, then what should I be talking about? How should I be showing up? How should the messaging of my brand be? How should my products and services be structured? Now, if you want, for example, if you want people to feel that they can trust you, then maybe, all right, one of the ways that you could go about it is have an excellent customer service. Invest in customer service. And not just that, maybe you step in personally to make sure that the customer service portion of your business is absolutely top notch, which means you go in, you ask them if they need help with anything, you are accessible. You personally, the face of the business, the person who owns the business, is directly accessible. And that's just one way. Okay, there's a lot of ways to build that trust and credibility, to build that feeling of trust and credibility, but this is just an example that I do have for you. And a few questions that I've written over here as a follow-up question for that would be, how do you want people to remember you? All right, how do you want people to feel when they are around you, and what do you want them to take away from their experience of interacting with you? That's very, very important. And the more you can chalk that out, the more you can understand what needs to shift on your end. And I'm not saying that there needs to be like a personality shift or complete opposite of who you are. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying try to find a balance between how you want them to feel with your existing personality, your skills, your expertise, but also understand that there might be a little bit of a gap that you need to fill in. Maybe gain some additional skills, maybe take some additional help, maybe fill in the gap with gaining more knowledge or taking up a new course, so on and so forth. There's going to be a natural gap, and that's okay. It just shouldn't be like a complete personality switch, because that's very hard to keep up with long term. All right. And another question that I've written over here, just like a follow-up question, is how do you want to be perceived by your audience? And frankly, this would be, whether you want it like a visual identity, like the minute they see you, what do they want? What do you want to be perceived by them? Or, when they read your comments, when they read your posts on Instagram, they see your reels, how do you want to be perceived? That's also really, really important, and it comes under personal branding. All right, so that is number 3 for you. Then we come to number 4, which is how are you going to handle your brand evolution? And actually, the 4th and the 5th question, just like as a side note, is something that I personally didn't go about when I first started out, but these questions came about as I was getting deeper into my personal branding. And the reason why I put it now in the beginning is because I've come to realize that if I could redo just that part, I think I would put these 2 questions in the beginning, and I would start out thinking about my brand evolution. All right, and of course the 5th question as well, which we'll get into in just a little bit. All right, so the reason why I realize it's important to talk about your brand evolution in the beginning itself is because you may not know exactly how the path is going to shape up, but it helps if you have some sort of, I guess I would say, an imaginary direction of where you want to be. It's okay if you have to pivot in the future, but at least understanding the growth that you see for yourself, even recognizing the fact that your brand is going to grow, there's going to be evolution of your personal brand, is very, very powerful to begin with. And frankly, I wish I had done that when I first started out, which is why I've added this question in for you. All right, I did add this later on, and it was very, very helpful, and it was very, very powerful, but just one of those things where I wish I'd actually done it when I first began out. So understand that there is going to be a natural evolution of your brand as you grow, as your skill set grows, as the values that you once knew, come to evolve. The belief system that you have evolves over time because of the experiences, because of your knowledge, so many different reasons. There is naturally going to be an evolution of your personal brand as well, and it's important to keep space for that, to allow that to happen naturally instead of hindering that or stopping the evolution. Because I think sometimes, and I'm smiling because this has happened to me as well, sometimes we are so scared to hold on to the identity that we first started out with. And maybe some things in life changes, maybe there are certain experiences that we go through and we want to shift out of that. Our natural state of being has changed. Yeah, sometimes it can feel hard to evolve or allow that evolution to happen, because we are so stuck on what we started out with. And yeah, I had that bit of resistance, and it was a little bit harder for me because I really wanted to hold on to the identity that I first started with 5 years ago. This was sometime in, like, I think 1.5 to 2 years in. It wasn't that there was a change in my personality, it's just that the first 2 years of entrepreneurship taught me a lot more than one I was expecting, and number two I was ready to handle. And so because of that, there was just a natural change in my belief system, in my thought process, in the values that I had, so on and so forth. And so it's important to give space for that evolution. It's important to understand that there will be, it's a very natural thing that occurs, there will be an evolution of your personal brand, and you have to give space to that. Don't hinder it. And one of the questions that is asked is, how will you handle it? When you realize that, all right, there is a shift in my value system here, there's a shift in my belief system here, not big, but it's still something. And how do I handle it? How do I shift the messaging appropriately, because I no longer resonate with the previous version of what my personal branding was. So understanding that there is going to be a natural evolution is very, very important. And don't be afraid of it. Don't feel scared that you're shifting into something else. No, trust me, evolution is a good thing. All right, and it's natural, it's part of the process, so allow that to happen. And one of the things that I've written here is, over the course of you being a solopreneur or even an entrepreneur, business owner, of course you're going to be investing in your personal growth, in your professional growth. You are also continuously learning, right? There's continuous improvement in the process. And so you've got to understand that in some way that does contribute to the evolution of your personal brand as well. And that should be welcome, okay? That should feel good to you, all right? So that is number 4 for you. How will you be handling the brand evolution? Then we come to number 5, which is also another question that I wish I had started out with, but it was something that came along during the course of my journey as a solopreneur. And it was a very powerful question, and that is, how are you going to protect your brand? That is very, very important, because creating your personal brand is something, and of course it's an ongoing process, it's continuous. But at the same time, there needs to be protection of your brand going along the same way. It's really going hand in hand. As you are creating it, as it is evolving, as you are shaping it, there also needs to be protection of it. So that could be, how can you ensure there is consistent messaging on all your platforms? Maybe you're on YouTube, you're also on Instagram. You can't make one significantly different from the other. There needs to be consistent branding, so that if someone finds you on YouTube and they find you on Instagram, they're going to see that, all right, this is the same person, this is the same business. I feel secure that they're not portraying one on another platform and another on a different platform. It does create that subconscious layer of trust when there is consistent messaging across your platform. So that's just one example. But protecting your brand is very, very important. And it's equally important to also understand that there needs to be significant time that you invest in protecting your brand. So another example that I can give you when it comes to protecting your brand is, how do you stay authentic to yourself? How do you stay authentic to yourself while setting boundaries, while maintaining your need for privacy? And I think we've talked about this in another podeo. One thing that I personally believe about being authentic is, whatever you do want to share, it aligns with you. That's it. You can choose to hide different aspects of your life. I wouldn't say hide, it's just protecting your privacy, and that's okay. That's okay. That's on you. That's your right. All right. So maybe there are parts of your life that you don't want to share, but whatever you feel you are willing to share, make sure that's the truth, that is aligned to who you are, that is actually what resonates with you. That's it. That's what I truly believe as authenticity. And if there's a part of your life that you wish to share, but you are unable to, share it in a way that feels authentic to you, pause, hold on. Make sure that you find a way to share it in a way that feels authentic to you. Wow, that was a little bit complicated, but we're just gonna we're just gonna roll past it, okay? So that's what I mean when I say protecting your brand, because as much as it is important for you to create it and keep honing it, keep evolving it, there's a certain layer of protection, and that comes from being intentional. All right, intentional that this is something you're creating, and there needs to be a bubble around it, a layer of protection. And another example that I can give you at this point is, there might be trends that come and go, and some trends on social media platforms may not resonate with you. How do you stay true to your values, your belief systems, the mission that you have, while these trends come and go? And I'll actually give you a very, very brilliant example of this. So I don't want to get into the details of the movie or what the movie was about, so on and so forth. But there was this really famous movie that released, and I resonated with a lot of people, but it did not resonate with me, unfortunately or fortunately, because I was really excited for that movie. But it did not resonate with me. I really didn't like the way that they were treating a certain section of people in that movie, and it just didn't seem right. It kind of was where they wanted one section of the group to progress while beating down another section of the group, and that didn't seem right to me. So on a personal belief system level, that didn't resonate with me, and there was a trend going on where a couple of the dialogues of that movie, people were saying it out loud, or they were kind of doing those lip sync, and I could have hopped on that trend, to be very frank with you, because at that point on my Instagram, I was actually doing trends, and I was just doing these lip sync videos, but it didn't feel right to me because the movie did not resonate with my personal value system, even though it was really, really popular and it did so well with other people. It just didn't align with me. All right. And at that point, I had done this. All right. So this was my thought process, and I had I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to get into it. And I didn't think too much of it. And then a week later, I happened to see this really, really big influencer, and she posted something where she said, I'm not going to do this particular trend because it does not resonate with my personal value system. And I do not want my daughter growing up thinking that her mom accepted that narrative. And I thought that was so powerful. I honestly, I just have so much respect for that influencer, because she stood by what felt right to her rather than just copying the trends that were going on. She knew exactly where to draw the line for her personal belief system, and it was just so wonderful for me to see that happen for a big influencer. And honestly, that just made me respect her so much more. And yeah, so think about it that way. People are going to respect you for the value system that you have. And the people who do not resonate with it, yeah, you probably don't want them around you, okay? So just take it that way, and don't be pressured to be a certain way or follow a certain trend or show up in a different way because you think that is what the majority of the people will resonate with. It doesn't matter if majority of the people will resonate or not. That really should not matter. What matters is you have your personal belief system, and you are, finding a community that resonates with who you are, the authentic you. All right. And I think that's the real win here. That's the real success here. All right. So that is just my personal opinion when it comes to this, and I wanted to share that incident because it really, I don't know, I'm smiling right now because it was such a wonderful thing for me to see a very, very big influencer. If I'm not wrong, she had in hundred thousands, beyond that. I think it was 500,000 or something like that. And she grew her Instagram account. She's also a business owner. She grew her Instagram account by doing trends and associating that with her business and so on and so forth. So immense respect for her even before she took that stand. But that was nice. And even in her comment section, as I was reading, There were a lot of other big influencers who follow her, and they said, yes, you know what, I'm not hopping on this trend because it just does not resonate with the message that I believe in. And I thought that was wonderful, even though like majority of the people liked those trends, or they did not think otherwise, or they were kind of wondering, okay, well, what's the big deal about this whole thing? But no, she took a stand, and I thought that was amazing, right? So yeah, how do you protect your brand? And another way that you can protect your brand, just as an example that I'm giving you, is to ask for feedback or improvement from your potential customers, or from the people who are following your content, following you, so on and so forth. That would actually be really, really helpful, because that's one way where, you know, of course, it's on you whether you wish to implement their feedback or not. But the fact that you are considering bridging the gap between their expectations and where you are at right now, even that's a way to protect your brand. And I just want to reiterate, whether or not you implement their feedback is on you. That's a call that you will take based on, again, your personal branding, your own belief systems, your own values, so on and so forth. But it doesn't hurt to ask where that gap, or where your audience perceives that gap to be. And you know, it's on to you whether you wish to fill that gap, or you're okay with being where you are, and the people who are okay with where you are get aligned with where you are. Yeah, I've been saying a lot of complicated sentences in this audio. I'm just laughing. But yeah, now for those of you who may not know, I'm actually down with a little bit of cold and cough. So if my voice sounds a little off, or you know, I sound a bit low on energy, you know why. All right, so those were the 5 questions that I do have for you. What I do want to say is, personal branding, it's an ongoing process, you know. You've got to be intentional about it, because it can slip away from you very, very quickly. Like I said, the pressure of being a different kind of person, the pressure of showing up a certain way just to gain followers, or just to resonate with a massive number of people, yeah, it can get to you. It can really, really get to you. So you have to keep making sure that, nope, that does not align with me. I'm coming back to me and sticking to my personal branding. And one thing that I truly believe in is, the kind of personal branding that you can stick with long term is often one that aligns with who you truly are on the inside. That's it. It's just as simple as that. It's easier to stick long term with the truth. I think that's a general saying also, if I'm not wrong. I probably did not say it as eloquently as the quote or the actual saying, but you know what I mean, right? So yeah, that's just my belief system, and that's what I believe. Wow, that's just my belief system, and that's what I believe in. Trying to hit that 1,000-word count, huh, Fred? All right. But yeah, that's just what I think works for personal branding, right? So that's what I've written over here, and that basically wraps up this entire episode. Now, if you liked this episode or it helped you in some way, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscription button, hit that notification bell, because that tells you every single time I do upload a podeo, and I do upload a couple of these every single week. Other than that, if you want to catch my 2 books, they are on Amazon. My first book is 0 to 4 Figures, Lessons Learned by a Broke CEO. It contains 61 stories and lessons, all towards digital entrepreneurship, and it covers topics like positive mindset, growth mindset, success mindset, business strategy, marketing strategy, relationships, self-love, so on and so forth. That's on Amazon. My second book, Self-Loved, is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts aimed towards healing, growth, and self-discovery. And it covers topics like inner child healing, trauma healing, gratitude, reflection, shadow work, so on and so forth. That's also available on Amazon. Other than that, I have a series of productivity planners, journals, and trackers that are available on Amazon. At the moment of publishing this podeo, there are 18 of them available. And the simplest way to find all of my stuff on Amazon is to just search my full name. It's Prithvi Madhukar, Prithvi space Madhukar, And once you do that, you're gonna get an author page for me, and all of my stuff will just show up. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for listening all the way up until here, or even watching all the way up until here. I really think I'm having a little bit of a brain fog because of the cold. I don't know. I think so. Maybe that's why I've been struggling a bit with my sentences today. But yeah, that was a little bit funny, and I'll probably go over this episode and laugh to myself, just as I hope it has brought you a smile as well. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.